Today we're diving into one of Greece's most iconic comfort dishes, the mighty moussaka. Layers of tender aubergine, beef, yes you heard right, beef, and a silky béchamel sauce that's going to be baked to golden perfection. It's hearty, it's warming, and it's bursting with Mediterranean flavour. Whether you've had it on holiday or you're trying it for the first time, this is packed with bold flavours and is really easy to pull off at home. I hope you're all well. I'm Shane and welcome back to ICG. So off the bat, for those of you that have been a subscriber to the channel since it started, we are a year old this month. So thank you so much for all of your support and thank you to all my new subscribers. I really do appreciate it. Sounds a bit soppy. I don't mean it to be that way. And if you were a subscriber when I started, moussaka was actually the first video that I recorded. Go and take a look. I've kept it on there. It's very, very real. The camera work is terrible. It's shocking. I didn't have a microphone, but it is what it is. And so I thought to mark the 1 year anniversary of the channel, I was going to cook it again and see if I can make the videography just that little bit clearer. And what I thought I'd also do today is answer some of the questions that people have emailed me. Yes, believe it or not, I have been emailed quite a few different questions over the months leading up to this point, and I haven't really done a video like this. So I thought as we're cooking, I can try and answer some of those questions too. So let's dive straight in, and we're going to start with our veg. And just to say, you can do this in any order you like. I tend to do my veg first while they're cooking, and they're going to go in the air fryer. I then do my meat sauce, and then we finish off with doing our bechamel at the end, because really you want to get that on there and into the oven when it's still nice and warm. So veggies you're going to need for this are going to be courgettes, aubergines, and some potatoes. They all cook at the same time, but I can't fit them all into my air fryer. So we'll start with the potatoes, and you can cut these as thick or as thin as you like. I tend to do them quite thin because then obviously they cook quicker in that air fryer. So you're looking for something like that. So I'll crack on and just finish the rest of those because it's a bit boring you watching that, and then we'll come back and I'll show you the courgettes. Okay, so they're all chopped. In this bowl, I've just got some vegetable oil, and I just put that in there just to coat them so that they sort of start to crisp up nicely in that air fryer. So I'll see you over there and we can get these cooking. Okay, so these are going to cook at 200 for 10 minutes. All of the veg that we cook today are going to cook for between 8 to 10 minutes. But as I always say, keep an eye on it. Everyone's air fryers work at different temperatures. Yours might cook quicker or slower. So just keep an eye on it. Okay, so while the potatoes are cooking, let's crack on and slice up our courgettes. So I said I'd answer some of the questions, and as I say, it's weird because I have received quite a lot, and one of the most popular ones seems to be what made me start up a YouTube channel. And I'll be honest, it wasn't my idea, it was my wife's idea. You probably know, obviously, if you're watching the channel, that I love cooking, and anyone that knows me knows I love cooking all sorts of food, which is why the channel gives so many different varieties of food. But it was this time last year, obviously, and Imogen was cooking it was a Greek salad. And actually it's on the channel. We got her to make it, the second video I ever made, the Greek Moussaka. And I was sat there filming her on my iPhone and asking her questions and stuff. And it was really good fun. Imogen loved it. And my wife said, oh, why don't you guys do a YouTube channel? You know, you love cooking. You're cooking what we eat. So why don't you do it? And it's not something I'd ever thought of. I mean, talking to a camera, I mean, it's still alien to me now. So I thought, you know what, why not? I think it was a Saturday, and on the Monday we got the channel name, and then I uploaded that video. And now when I look back at it, you know, the lighting and the sound and everything else, you know, hopefully things have come on a little bit since then. But I'll be honest, I really, really enjoy it. It's really good fun. So I'm making a right pig's ear trying to do two things at once with these courgettes. Put those into your oil. I do really, really enjoy it. And I mean, in lockdown, the dreaded lockdown, I mean, I cooked every day, of course. What else did we have to do? And I think I filled it was about 6 sides of A4 paper. I kept like a ship's log of everything that I cooked, and it was only afterwards when I looked at it, I was like, my God, like, you know, all of this stuff that we've eaten, and not just the, you know, obviously I do lots of different things I was cooking, not just the same bits and bobs, but it was astonishing how much we'd actually eaten. We'd eaten very well, and all the different things that we cooked. So I just thought, why not? I'm going to do a YouTube channel. If anyone comes and watches it, great. I wasn't expecting anyone to watch it. I think we're up to 80,000 hours of watch time. Seems people don't subscribe as much as they watch, but then it's like I said to my wife, I'll be honest, I watch lots of YouTube, things on YouTube, but I don't necessarily subscribe. I just think that's a way of the world. Okay, so courgettes are done. A couple of them are a bit thicker, trying to multitask than I want, but there we go. I'm gonna go and chuck those in the air fryer. Remember, same time, and then I'll be back to do the aubergines. Okay, so the courgettes are now done. We can move on to our last veg, which is our aubergines. We're gonna do the same again. We're just gonna slice these up. So next question is, what equipment do I use? And I've had this loads of times, and I don't know, I guess, you know, when you start, like I did, you know, what do you use? So I totally get it. Well, I'm gonna disappoint you here because I film on an iPhone 8, so that's what I'm talking to now. I'm a bit of a tightwad when it comes to technology. I've had that for, I don't know, 7 years maybe. I very rarely upgrade, and that's all I use. As a matter of fact, I only realized that that phone had 4K filming capability on it about 20 videos ago. So all my earlier ones weren't in 4K, but now they are. So that's my main bit of kit. It's sat on a tripod, which I've had for years and years and years. I did invest in this mic because when I look back at some of the old ones, the sound quality is pretty poor. The iPhone on its own, probably because it is so old, doesn't do a great job. So I went for the DJI mic. I'd read quite a lot of reviews, and they were very, very positive. And also I've got two, because when Imogen cooks with me, it's great. We can just sort of match them, pair them up to the phone or the receiver, and you can hear us both. And then down to my kids, really. They bought me a light. So I've got one light, which is over here, which sort of brightens the whole room up, which I think is a definite must. The electric hob that I'll be using shortly up here. Again, the kids bought me that, another Father's Day present. And the reason for that is it is a bit of an ag moving you over to the hob. I do sometimes still do it, but it's nice to be able to cook all in one place. Plus the fact what you guys can't see is along here is like a glass breakfast bar, if you like. So I struggle sometimes with camera angles and what have you, because that's all you'd see. So having the hob here just means I don't have to keep moving it around and you seeing things that, you know, I'm sure you don't want to see. And of course, lastly, my apron. Kids again, Father's Day present, it's cooking good. I absolutely love it, as you'll probably notice. I'm always wearing it. And that's it. I haven't invested heavily. I don't think you need a lot of kit unless you're doing this like, you know, you're some sort of real big time content creator. Then of course you're going to be going for all the different camera stands and different cameras and what have you, and invest a fortune. But that's certainly not me yet. So that is it. Okay, so again, just coat these up in a little bit of oil. These are going to go in for that 10 minutes again in the air fryer, and then once they're done, we can now move on to our meat sauce, which is going to go in this moussaka, which is delicious. So I'll see you then. Okay, so our veggies are all done. Get those out of the way for the moment. We'll come back to those when we need them. Just onto your hob, just want a pan, get this cranked up, and to the pan, some olive oil. Again, guys, with all of this, just adjust the quantities depending on how many people you're feeding. Straight into that pan, I've got one onion diced, just roughly diced. I like it a bit chunky. And we just want to cook that down for a couple of minutes just to soften it up. Okay, so that's softening down nicely. Here I've got 3 cloves of garlic, which I've just roughly chopped. Come on out. That's it, and we'll just cook that down for another minute. Add it afterwards because I don't want that garlic to burn before we put in our meat. So next question, I've been asked several times, actually a lot of times, is challenges, or what do I find difficult? And that's really easy. Probably the thing I find most difficult is talking to an iPhone. Talking to you guys, because I'm just talking to my phone. Weirdly, I find it a lot easier if the family are all here and stood around. Sometimes they'll be behind you guys. I find that weirdly easier, having people there. I don't know, they're not talking back to me because obviously I'm recording, but it just feels a little bit more natural. I think I've got better as time's gone on, but still now, sometimes I struggle that I'm talking to a phone. Other things, editing. I'm 52 in September. I've had to learn how to edit, and I'm not particularly good at it. I think I'm getting better, but it's been a bit of a challenge working out new softwares. If anyone's interested, anyone's thinking of starting a YouTube channel or something, CapCut is what I use, and I find it really, really good. There's a free version, I think, and a paid one. Other things are measurements. So I'm not a professional chef, I am a home cook, and everything I do, I eyeball it. So I'll throw in a bit of this and a bit of that. And so what I've struggled with is, obviously I can't just, sometimes I'll say I'll throw in something or whatever, but I want to be able to give you guys exact measurements. So I've almost had to go back through all of the things that I cook to sort of redo it before I film it, so that I can actually give you as closer measurements as I possibly can. So that's definitely been a challenge for me. And that's probably why, well, it is why you don't see me doing much baking, because has to be really, really accurate. My wife's the baker, not me. I think I've only made one dessert and I've never made bread on the channel. And then lastly, I would say is timings. We've got the kids here, my wife here, and I've started to try and film these in the day rather than the evening, because the problem is in the evening, if I do it, everyone's wanting their dinner. And I'm saying, oh, it won't be a second, I've just got to film this last bit, and then I've got to get the thumbnail and what have you. And it gets a bit fraught, I think is the word, in the house. So as much as possible, I now try and do it in the day. So there we go. Okay, mince in, as I say, that's about 800 grams. Again, adjust the quantities depending on how big a moussaka you're going to make, and just give it all a good mush down. And we want to cook that out now till it browns. Okay, so our meat is nicely brown now. I've had to switch spoons. This one is one of my favorites. The handle, look, keeps sliding off. So I've switched back to a proper old school wooden spoon. Okay, next to go into that, I just want to season it with some salt. Quite a bit of salt. We didn't salt the veg at all. On that point, a lot of people will say, oh, you must salt it and let the water, get extracted from the aubergine and the courgette. I don't bother in this recipe. Sometimes I will, but not for this. It doesn't actually need it. And actually that air fryer does a good job of drying it out anyway. Plenty of black pepper. Of course, an old staple in Greek cooking, my TK Maxx size oregano, and I want plenty of that in there. And then I've just realised I've only got one cinnamon stick. Normally I'd put 2 in, so we'll get that in, and I'll substitute it with some cinnamon powder, and I like quite a lot. So I don't know, it's probably a good, teaspoon and a half maybe. Just give that a little mix in and let those infuse that meat before we add in our tomatoes. So next question, how do I decide what I'm going to cook? Again, it's quite an easy one. Does say it on the bio, but again, I've had a lot of questions about this. We cook, and the premise of the whole channel when I started it was, and my wife said to me, well, you're just doing what you do anyway, so you should just do it. And it's true. I'm not someone that's going out and buying stuff specifically to cook to post on this channel. I'm not following latest trends that, I'm going to put a video out about that this week because I'll get more subscribers and more views. That's not what I'm about. I'm literally cooking what we're eating as a family. So, which is good. It's economical for us because it's stuff that we've already got in. Like today, I've run out, yeah? That's just the way it is, and I'll substitute it with something else I've got in the cupboard. I get a lot of people asking me, could you do some more barbecue stuff? Could you do some more one-pot dishes? And it's really weird. My 2 most popular videos that I've produced. One was sound like, oh yeah, look at me. Was the corned beef pie that I did at the end of last year. That gets probably between 50 and 100 views still now every single day. And then the other one, which is totally the other way, as far as you could probably get from corned beef pie, is my spaghetti vongole, which was done with Waitrose or clams, they're frozen clams from Waitrose. That seems really popular in America. So I'm cooking a variety of things because it's what we're eating. In the summer, I tend to do more barbecue stuff because I like to use the outdoor kitchen and I love barbecue food, I love cooking outside. But everyone's got different tastes and I sort of liken it to, you know, you go to a restaurant, you look at the menu, there's tons of stuff on there, you're not going to like all of it. So I know that some of the stuff that I cook is not going to be everyone's cup of tea. That's just the way it goes. As much as I love it and I'll say, oh, it's amazing, not just because I've cooked it, but I know it tastes good and it's a good recipe, you know, it can be a bit disheartening going on and no one's watched it or 2 people have viewed it, but that's just the way it goes. It's not everyone's cup of tea. So that's how I sort of decide. I don't, it's what we're eating. But as always, let me know if there's stuff you want me to cook. I always say it. I don't think I have recently. Have I stopped saying it? Can't remember. You know, if there's stuff you'd like to see me cook, let me know. Because I would love to cook it, and especially if it's something I've never tried or cooked before, that makes it even more fun. Okay, so that has incorporated nicely. Couldn't get Muti. Muti, my favourite brand, so I'm going for the old Napolini. Is it Napolini or Napolino? Napolina. And I want 2 tins only because I've got quite a lot of mince in there. So get that in and give it a good stir around. No need to add water to this because we're going to cook this off for about half an hour now, just to reduce it down a little bit and let it really nicely infuse all those flavours into that beef mince. Other question I get asked a lot, do you eat all the food? Yes, we do, because I'm making it for us as a family. Like this one, this is what we're going to eat tonight. So I'll try it in front of you guys and then we'll eat it. And this actually is great, this recipe, by the way. The next day, and you actually want to serve it warm, so it's perfect. I can cook it in the day, and then when they all get home, and tonight's a busy evening for everyone, it's perfect to leave on the top. But yeah, by the most part we do. Sometimes I'll cook something up and, you know, the kids, I'll say to them when they get home from school, do you want to try this? And they'll try it and they go, oh, it's absolutely disgusting, they don't like it. So, you know, again, everyone's got different tastes. It's, you know, it's a very personal thing. Okay, so I'm going to put the lid on that. We're going to cook it down, as I say, for about half an hour, and then I'll come back to you and we can start on our cheese sauce and then assemble the final dish. Okay, so that has had its half an hour and it looks perfect to me. Still nice and juicy, hasn't reduced too much because you want that liquid in there, but remember our veggies are going to let out some more liquid as they cook. So let's just get that out of the way, put it over here on my extra space. It's funny, isn't it? Doesn't matter how much space you have in a kitchen, there's never enough. I know, I'm coming. Okay, so now we're going to move on to our bechamel sauce, cheesy bechamel sauce. 100 grams of butter, salted or unsalted. I believe that one's salted, and just let that melt down. And that gives us time to move on to the next question, which is what's my favourite food? And that's a real tough one to answer because I like all sorts of food. If I was to pick sort of cuisines, I'd say it would be Italian and Greek are my favourite. I just love that style of cooking and I think it's so versatile and they're perfect for one-pan dishes like we're doing today, oven dishes, lovely bits of fish, seafood, etc. So it would definitely be that, and moussaka would be up there in my top 5 for sure. Recently, what I've cooked, some of my favourites, definitely the octopus. That was really nice as well to get out of the house and film the pros at work. And I love octopus and that recipe is lovely. Also really enjoyed simple stuff like the pad krapow that went out not last week, the week before. Simple Thai comfort food, street food style. I absolutely love it. But in all honesty, there's not a lot I don't like. I pretty much like it all, which is why I'm putting on so much weight. Okay, so that's melting down nicely. To that, we've got 100 grams of plain flour. So that can go in, get it all out. That's it. And we just want to stir that around, as we say, making basically like a roux at this stage, just to make sure, you want to make sure that that flour's all nicely cooked out, so you're not getting that raw flour taste. So just keep stirring it around. Okay, that looks good. Here's 700 millilitres of milk, whatever milk you use. And just gradually add it bit by bit, making sure to keep stirring. I have to be careful because this pan on this electric hob slides around quite a lot, so I'm trying to steady it with my chest. I'm going to add a little bit more, and then we'll just keep stirring it around. Don't worry about how it looks at the moment. It will come back. There we go. And so I'm going to add the remaining milk there. I'm happy with that. It's all been brought together. That's it. We're just going to let that come up to a simmer before we add the remaining ingredients. Okay, that's starting to bubble now. So in with some cracked black pepper and some salt. Don't need too much salt because this just doesn't actually come out that quickly. So it looks like a lot, but I promise you it's not. Some nutmeg, so some freshly grated nutmeg, or use nutmeg powder if you've got it. Again, I like quite a lot, but we are going to finish the top of the moussaka with that. And then Gruyere cheese. So I've got some grated Gruyere cheese. I'll add some of that, but I want to keep some back just for a light sprinkling again over the top. So let's get that all nicely mixed in. And then lastly, to finish this off, turn your heat off, and you want 3 whole eggs straight in and stir it through. Don't fear, it won't scramble. Okay, so that's our bechamel done. I'm going to get this out of the way. I'm going to clear everything down, and then we can assemble our moussaka. So first things first, you need to preheat your oven to 220°C fan. Get yourself a nice dish. I always put it onto a bit of parchment paper on a tray because it can leak out, especially if I overfill it, which sometimes I do. So we'll start off with a layer of our lovely beef mix. Just want a thin layer of it. Just almost a bit like you're making a lasagna, I guess. It's, you know, you're basically just doing alternate layers. That's it. First in, veggie-wise, we're going to use potatoes. I think I've probably done too many. I'll put all the quantities down below in the description anyway, but I might put a couple of extra in just to fill in a couple of gaps. And then some more of your mix over the top. So the last question I've got, and this has probably come up more than any other one, which is, when will Imogen be doing some more cooking? The answer is, I don't know. I asked her, funny enough, this weekend just gone, I said, oh, do you fancy doing some cooking? And she was like, no, not really. She's really busy with school, obviously, but she's also really into her dancing. And Imogen sort of dances 3 times a week. And at the moment, she's got a couple of really big shows coming up. And so a lot of her time is focused on that. As much as I would love to have her on the channel more often, I don't think her mother would be too pleased with me if I was taking her away from her study for sure. Okay, so that's the courgette in. More of your mix. And then lastly, our aubergine. Get that on there. That's it, just give it a little push down. Hands again. Take that, almost forgot, take the cinnamon stick out, and then again, get the rest of your meat on the top. That's it. Give it a good spread out. I mean, it really is, I mean, I know there's a bit of, you know, the cooking bit at the start, but it's not a difficult dish at all to make this, and it is so, so good. Okay, right, our bechamel, and I just lather it on like that. And it is going to sort of sink down the sides, that's fine, that's what you want. I'm gently doing it because I don't want it to overflow. I just want to give it time to go down those side bits, or I've already got a bit of overflowage there. Okay, just get it on anyway, doesn't matter. That's it. Don't worry about the leakage. And then finish it off with some of our nutmeg. Nice few rasps of that. That's it. And then our cheese. So we save some, so just scatter it around. And there we go. That's ready to go in the oven. So it's going to go in, as I say, 220C fan for about half an hour. Just keep an eye on it because that topping will go quite quickly. So if it does and you haven't got your 30 minutes, if you can, just cover it slightly loosely with some foil and you'll be absolutely fine. So I'll see you shortly and we can cut it open, give it a try and see how we've done. And there we have it, one Greek Moussaka. It smells amazing. What hits me first is that Gruyere cheese, and I love Gruyere cheese. I've just got a bowl here. We have put a nice little bit of mixed leaf salad in there. I meant to say, I've never been asked, what don't I like about having a cooking channel? And I'm going to tell you what it is. It's the washing up. The amount of washing up that I do after making one of these videos is immense. So that's my only downside to it. So let's give this a cut open. I've got spatulas. I've got all sorts of spatulas here because you never know how this is going to come out. I don't know why I've got that in my hand already. Let's cut a nice sort of square piece. Oh yeah. Meant to say, I've let this cool. This is always best served sort of room temperature. So I've let it sit for a good half an hour before cutting it up. That's it. Just loosen that edge. This is always the trembling bit, the knee trembling bit. Let's get that out. Fingers crossed for me, please. Hopefully we'll get all of the layers and it won't collapse on me. Did I cut through okay? Oh yeah, look at that. Oh. Wonderful. Got a few little bits left in there, but that's fine. So let's give it a try. I cannot wait. Let's knife and fork. Okay, let's cut in. Make sure I get a bit of everything. It's that sauce, that béchamel sauce on the top. Absolutely love it. Very addictive. And it never disappoints. That is amazing. So good. Can taste all of the layers in there. Bit more potato. The aubergine, courgette. Got a nice hint of cinnamon coming through, but it's not overpowering. That really is a classic. I can see why Moussaka is so popular for sure. Well, as I said, it's definitely in my top 5. Definitely give this one a go, guys. It won't disappoint, I assure you. Guys, that's it from me for today. Once again, I really appreciate all your support. Thank you to all my subscribers. And if you're just about to hit that subscribe button, thank you to you too. If you're one of the people that asked me a question, I hope I've answered them to your satisfaction. And if you didn't ask me a question, you've got no interest at all, I'm sorry for boring you for the past however long this video has gone on for. Please do like, share and comment. I'd love to hear from you, especially if you try this recipe. But generally, I am trying to create some sort of community, so every comment counts and I will get back to you. I'll put all of the details of today's Greek Moussaka down below in the description as always. And all that's left for me to say is until next time, it's cooking good.